Have you ever sat quietly after a long day and felt like something inside you, something deeper than just fatigue, was tugging at your attention? Maybe it comes in the quiet hours, when the house is still and you reach for old habits almost on autopilot. It's not that you're looking for pleasure, really. It's more like you're looking for something to fill a space that keeps getting louder over time. Now, let's be honest here. This is a real talk. No shame, no judgment. We're just two men having a conversation. And if you're watching this, you probably already know we're not just talking about physical urges. We're talking about habits, deep ones. Ones that may have started years ago, even decades ago, as a way to cope, to soothe, or to escape. And now, maybe they've become so familiar, they don't even feel like choices anymore. They just happen. But here's the thing. The body and the soul, especially after 55, start sending signals. Sometimes it's low energy. Sometimes it's a feeling of emptiness that lingers even after you've taken care of it. Sometimes it's just that nagging question in the back of your mind. Is this helping me feel more alive? Or is it slowly draining something deeper? You're not alone. So many men carry this silently, believing that because it's private, it's harmless. But the truth is, repeated over time, this habit can affect more than just your body. It can touch your spirit, your energy, your confidence, even your relationships. And the most powerful step we can take isn't to shame ourselves or suppress desire. It's to understand the habit, gently loosen its grip, and open the door to deeper healing. So today, I want to share something different. Not rules, not restrictions, but 4 ways, simple, grounded ways you can start to ease this pattern. Ways to help you reconnect with your strength, your clarity, and even your sense of purpose. Let's start with the first step, and this one might surprise you: awareness without blame. You see, most habits, especially ones tied to pleasure or escape, are fueled by silence and shame. We do them in isolation, then criticize ourselves quietly, promising we'll cut back or stop next week. But the brain doesn't work well under shame. It shuts down. It hides. And when it hides, the habit just keeps running the show. What changes the game is becoming conscious, not blaming yourself for doing it, just noticing. When does it happen most often? Is it boredom? Stress? Loneliness? Is it at night, when your mind is tired but your emotions are restless? Is it tied to a certain memory, a certain mood? Start journaling it, even just 1 line a day. Felt the urge around 10 p.m. after watching TV. Or, lonely today. Didn't feel like talking. Felt the urge later. You're not judging. You're just tracking, like a scientist gathering information. Because once you bring light into the room, the shadows lose their power. And here's the beautiful part: once you do this for a few days or weeks, a kind of inner strength begins to grow. You're no longer just reacting. You're watching. You're learning. You're stepping into control again. And that alone, without doing anything else, can start to ease the pull of the habit. But let's go deeper now, because awareness opens the door, but it doesn't walk you through it. That's where the second step comes in, replacing the ritual. Every habit, even the ones we struggle with, serves a purpose. It's a ritual. And rituals, by nature, bring a kind of rhythm, a sense of control. So instead of trying to rip it out completely, what if we honored the fact that your body and soul are asking for something? Just not necessarily what you've been giving it? The trick is to replace the ritual with something that still feeds your body and soul, but in a healthier way. Maybe that's a 15-minute evening walk with calming music in your ears. Maybe it's light stretching with your eyes closed and your breathing slowed. Maybe it's just standing by the window with your hands open, letting the night air touch your skin. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be different. And yes, I know that may sound simple, even silly at first. But remember, you're not just battling a physical urge. You're shifting a pattern. And patterns are powerful. But so is your ability to rewrite them. You may notice that after a few days of replacing the habit, even once or twice a week, something inside starts to change. The urge doesn't vanish overnight, but it becomes less automatic. You become more present, more grounded. You start to realize you have more power than you thought. And that, my friend, is where the real healing begins. Not in fighting yourself, but in leading yourself, gently, deliberately, into a stronger version of you. Let's pause here. We've opened the door to awareness. We've started walking towards something more nourishing. And that alone is already a big shift. Absolutely, let's continue right where we left off, with that quiet shift already beginning to take shape inside you. No need to rush, no need to push, just you taking one honest, steady step at a time. Now, once you've started becoming more aware of the patterns and you've begun replacing the ritual with something new, even just occasionally, a natural question tends to rise. Why is this urge so strong in the first place? Why does it feel like the body is calling out for release, even when your mind knows it won't really bring peace? That brings us to the third way you can gently reduce the grip of this habit, and it's one that's rarely talked about. Restore emotional intimacy with yourself. Let's be real. Most men over 55 grew up in a time when emotions weren't something we were encouraged to explore. We were told to man up, stay strong, keep it together. Vulnerability? That was seen as weakness. And when you hold that in for 30, 40, 50 years, where do all those feelings go? They often funnel into places where we feel safe and in control, and for many men, solitary pleasure becomes one of those spaces. It's private. It's manageable. It doesn't ask for vulnerability. But over time, it becomes a substitute for something deeper, emotional closeness. Not just with someone else, but with yourself. So what does it actually look like to restore emotional intimacy? It starts in the quiet moments, maybe before bed, maybe during a walk, when you ask yourself questions that don't need fast answers. Questions like, what am I really needing right now? When was the last time I felt truly connected to something meaningful? Is there an emotion I've been avoiding? This isn't about overanalyzing or judging yourself. It's about giving yourself permission to feel. And more than that, it's about creating new pathways inside you. Ones that tell your body, I don't need to act out this habit to feel relief. I can be with myself, as I am, without escape. Now I get it, this takes courage. It's not easy to sit with feelings, especially ones we've spent years avoiding. But there's incredible strength in doing so. Because when you can sit with sadness without running, when you can face loneliness without needing to distract yourself, you begin to feel whole again. And when you feel whole, the need to reach for quick relief, it starts to fade. That brings us into the fourth way, and this one is where real transformation starts to settle into your body and your spirit. Connect your energy to a higher sense of purpose. Let's face it, after 55, a lot of men start to ask the big questions. What's next? What am I doing with my time? What am I leaving behind? And those questions can be uncomfortable, especially if we don't feel like we have strong answers. So we look for ways to pass the time, to soothe the discomfort, to keep things predictable. But what if your energy, your physical energy, your creative energy, your sexual energy, could be directed into something that actually fulfills you? I'm not talking about changing careers or moving to a monastery. I'm talking about simple, grounded purpose. Maybe it's building something with your hand. Maybe it's mentoring someone younger. Maybe it's volunteering, gardening, journaling, picking up music again, or helping others in your community in ways only you can. When a man finds something that lights him up from the inside, even just a spark, it changes everything. That restless pull toward old habits starts to lose power. Because your body senses that your energy matters again. That it's being used, not wasted. That you're giving to something beyond just your own momentary relief. And don't worry if you're still figuring out what that purpose is. You don't need a grand vision. All you need is the willingness to start looking. And once you do, even the smallest action, an hour a week doing something that stretches you just a bit, can begin to shift your entire rhythm. Because here's the truth. Your energy is sacred. It's the fire of your life. And when you start pointing that fire in the direction of something meaningful, something healing, the old patterns begin to burn away. Not through force, but through replacement, through redirection. So if you've made it this far with me, you're already doing something powerful. You're listening, not just to me, but to yourself. You're reflecting. You're showing up. And that right there? That's how real change begins. Not with guilt, not with strict rules, but with gentle awareness and courageous honesty. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stay curious. To keep showing up for yourself in small, real ways. And from there, the healing grows, quietly, steadily, and beautifully. Let's move into part 3, where we bring everything together with that final perspective and wrap up our conversation in a way that feels deeply personal and empowering. This is the part where the journey starts to feel like your own, where you recognize how far you've already come just by choosing to reflect, to slow down, to be more intentional. At this point, maybe something inside you is already starting to soften. Maybe you've taken a breath you didn't realize you were holding. Maybe, even just for a moment, you felt a quiet sense of, yeah, maybe I can shift this. And you absolutely can. There's one more piece to this puzzle that brings the others together. It's not a technique or a tip, it's a mindset. A decision, really. And it's this: treat yourself like someone you deeply care about. You've spent your whole life showing up for others, for your family, your career, your responsibilities. You've put in the work, the sacrifice, the effort, and maybe somewhere along the way you forgot that you still deserve that same care, that same compassion. When it comes to breaking free from old habits, especially private ones like frequent masturbation, most men are harsh with themselves. Why can't I stop? What's wrong with me? I'm too old to be dealing with this. But that inner criticism only digs the hole deeper. It doesn't create healing. It just buries the pain under another layer of guilt. So I want to ask you something, sincerely. What if you started treating yourself like someone you loved? Not with indulgence, but with respect, with patience, with kindness. What if every time the urge came up, instead of running from it or giving in to it automatically, you paused and asked yourself gently, what do I need right now? Not what your body's trained to chase, not what the habit wants, but you, the man you are now, the man who still has time to grow, to love deeper, to wake up with clarity and peace. And that's the real goal here. Not just to stop doing something, but to start living more fully, to show up for yourself with presence, to choose new habits not out of shame, but out of love, because that's where the healing really takes root, in the quiet choices, in the slow shift, in the grace you give yourself after years of trying to hold everything together. Let's be honest, this journey won't be perfect. You'll have days where the old patterns sneak back in. That's okay. Healing isn't about perfection. It's about progress, one breath at a time, one new decision at a time. One moment of self-respect instead of self-escape. And every time you choose differently, even if it's just once a week, you're proving to yourself that you are not defined by your past. You're not too old to grow. You're not stuck. You are still becoming, and that's something no habit can take away from you. So today, as we close this conversation, I want you to remember this. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not too far gone. You are a man in motion. A man who's choosing awareness over autopilot, strength over shame, healing over hiding. And even if the steps feel small, they are building something real inside you, something powerful and lasting. I hope you keep going, keep exploring, keep showing up for your own well-being. And if you ever feel like you're alone in this, come back to this message. Let it remind you that someone believes in your ability to grow, to heal, and to rise. And if this message has meant something to you today, if it's helped even a little, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. You don't have to share anything personal. Just let me know you're out there, that you're walking this path too. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Not because it helps the channel, though it does, but because it's one more way to say to yourself, I'm committed. I'm choosing growth. I'm in. Here's to your strength, to your peace, to the life that still has so much beauty ahead. Here's to living your best life, at any age.